Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 4. So Module 4 is the halfway point of the semester, which means you will do some reflecting on what you have accomplished so far. And we're also moving into the research units. So we have several units where we will be working on the big research paper for the class, and this is just the start of it. So if you remember back in Module 3, you turned in a topic proposal for your research essay. The overview of the research paper is here, and then you decided on a topic and you submitted that proposal. So the first step is to make sure that your topic will work. Most of the time, in fact, I'm not sure I've ever really had a student who had a topic that absolutely would not work for the assignment, so I wouldn't worry too much about whether or not it's going to be approved. Sometimes I'll have some ideas for students if they have more than one that they're trying to work on, or maybe they just don't really understand or know how they're going to narrow it down or something like that. Then I can give you some feedback there. So first thing is to check there and see what it is that I've responded to you with. And then the next thing is to get into the Module 4 stuff. So the first thing you'll notice is you have a quiz, and the quiz is over all this information about evaluating and identifying good sources. So we have 3 chapters from the book. One is just thinking rhetorically about research. So this kind of goes along with what we did in the first module, where we were looking at, the rhetorical situation of the author and that kind of thing. Now we're moving into ways to identify good sources and ways to evaluate sources, and then information literacy, and then the CRAP test as well. So the CRAP test is a test that was created. It's just an acronym for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. So these are the 5 categories that we can evaluate a source on. And basically the question is, is the information relevant? Is it up to date? Are the links functioning? That kind of thing. So you would go through for each source and kind of ask yourself each of these questions. And if anything sticks out to you, then that would be part of an evaluation of a source. So the quiz that you'll take kind of covers all of that, a variety of questions there. And then, so you can see it's a 20-point quiz. And then once you're done with that, then you should be prepared to complete the annotated bibliography. So the annotated bibliography is the other assignment, major assignment in the module. You also have the option to do this midpoint reflection. The midpoint reflection, not an option. The other assignment is the midpoint reflection. I should have a survey. It's not showing up here for extra credit if you want to do that as well. I'll make sure that pops up there. So these are the midterm kind of stuff. Once you've taken the quiz, then you can do the annotated bibliography. So the annotated bibliography is you have to take your research paper topic, and this is where you're going to find all the sources that you're going to use for your research paper. Now, you're not writing the paper yet, and so this is really just to help you start the research. It's okay if you find sources for your annotated bibliography that you don't end up using for your research paper. That's fine. Right now, we're just interested in finding as much information and as much variety of information as we can so that you can be better prepared to write the paper. This assignment is not an essay. It is kind of tedious, actually. I remember doing annotated bibliographies. I really didn't enjoy doing annotated bibliographies as a student, and I had to do quite a few of them. And the reason is because it really helps prepare you for that research that you're doing. So the main thing that you want to be thinking about is you need 12 sources about your topic. So that's the only restriction on your research essay, is you have to be able to find 12 sources about it. So if you can't find 12 sources, then it's probably not broad enough to write a 7 to 9 page paper about. So you want to expand to begin with. The other thing that you want to remember is that you have an introductory paragraph. That introductory paragraph is basically the only thing it has in common with a research paper. So you have an introductory paragraph, and then you have 12 sources after that. Each source has a works cited entry and then one paragraph that is about 5 to 8 sentences long that summarizes the content and explains the credibility of the source. So all you're doing for each source is telling me what it's about, and then is it trustworthy, and how do you know that? So you want to be using terminology from the textbook chapters and from the CRAP test. Discuss the currency or authority of the author, discuss the relevance of the information, that kind of thing. So it's only 5 to 8 sentences for each source. It's not a lot of writing, but it does take a while because you have to find those 12 sources and look through all 12 of them. So that's what takes students the longest, really, is just getting through each source and sitting down to write, 5 sentences or so, a paragraph or so about each one. I know that I will post an example as well, because I created an example for my class last semester, and it took me, I don't know, probably half an hour to do 2 sources, but that, is dependent on how fast you write and how well you can pay attention while you're writing, that kind of thing. So it really won't take you that long. It's just going to be spread out. So I would just give yourself a couple of days to do each, to do a couple at a time, and then you should get through it. So I've got a bunch of resources for you. This is the chapter out of the textbook, which is not going to load for me. And so it shows an example in the textbook as well. And then I have a couple of links as well, some information on using databases and some information from the library. One of the best resources that you have is the databases through the Allen Library. And so you can see here, I can just search for a big topic. I don't even know if it'll work so most of my examples are dinosaurs. You can't spell dinosaurs. And then when you just click on it, then it's just going to bring up every single source in the Allen database that has anything to do with your topic. And so really useful, but also really useful because each source will have the citation for it. So now there's some book sources which I don't have access to unless it's an ebook. So I'm not going to use those because I'm not driving to Iola for them. And there's, let's see if there's so online full text, that's a good example. It's just as encyclopedia article. Once I click on it, I am going to have to log in with my Allen user ID, so your number and your password that you get into your Allen email and everything with. So that's the only downside, as well as you do have to be able to log in. You have to remember your login. But once you've logged in once, as long as you don't close the page, then you should be fine. And then all of them should have up here a cite button, and then you can copy the citation. Make sure that you are using MLA 9th edition, though. Don't copy a different one. But then you can copy and paste it, and they're close enough to being correct. So you can copy and paste it directly into your document that you're using for your annotated bibliography. I've got a link to the library website as well. If you are in Iola or near Iola, you can also use the physical library and look through their books and everything. And then you have this spot to turn in the annotated bibliography. I don't grade this quite like an essay. I tend to grade it more like a research support for yourself because it is a resource for you. And so I'm not going to be, other than don't forget the introduction paragraph. Sometimes students forget that and lose 20 points automatically. It's really just a matter of, are the citations look correct? Do you have at least 5 to 8 sentences about each source that summarizes and evaluates? A lot of times students lose points in here because they're just telling me what it's about and not giving me actually, whether or not it's trustworthy. And then sometimes I have issues with students who, instead of summarizing, they want to try and make their own argument. So it's unclear whether they're providing information from that source or whether they're like going off on a tangent about their own ideas already. You are not writing a research paper yet. I literally want to know, what is this source about? How do you know it's trustworthy? You're answering those 2 questions for each source. So make it short and simple for yourself. Last assignment, midterm reflection. This does not need to be in the form of an essay, but it can be if you want to. Otherwise, you're answering these questions, just thinking about what have you done so far. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the semester? Is there anything that you need to change? That kind of thing. So you can look back at your first email that you sent me for your goals for the class. If you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.